What is up, Los Angeles, and welcome back to your Rams LAFB show. I'm your host, Ryan Anderson. Today, we are talking Rams salary cap situation. To do that, I have none other than the Erin Coscarelli of Believe in Rams. Erin, how we doing?
We've been wanting to do this show for so long, and I stayed up all night studying, crunching numbers, really putting on my Les Snead hat. And but also one of the things that we talk about, which is the interesting parts of putting together a roster, is not just crunching numbers, it's personalities, it's the culture, it's the fit. So I'm excited to get into the challenges that the Rams have, but they're kind of in a good position right now.
Yeah, they're certainly not in a bad place where they were, with what they have already on the roster. I mean, they're almost $45 million over the cap currently. So that's fantastic news. They're not having to scramble to get under the cap. They rarely ever have been. So often put themselves in this position, but there are just some things that they're going to have to do that are going to cost money, but there's also some things that they can do to save money. And I try to be very realistic with my projections. You get some of these sites out there that just come up with, Davante Adams is just going to take the most team friendly deal in the world just because he loves us so very much and wants everything good for us.
Of course.
But these are people that want to get paid, what they're due and get paid a living wage. I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway, let's just kind of hop into this. Just kind of, okay, I'll just say it like this. There's a few things that are going to cost the team money, and I think that's where we should start. And we've already mentioned one a couple of times in our previous show, but they've got a draft class of 10 people. Right now, it's going to cost them around $14 million. A lot of that comes just because they have 2 first rounders. So if they use both first rounders, it's going to cost them right around $9 million right there. Plus, they also have comp picks that are coming up. So they're going to have more picks. So this is going to be an expensive class for the Rams. So $14 million plus, but they can answer a lot of the big questions that the team has, particularly, and I'm going to bring it up again, they're going to have to find Matthew Stafford's successor. They might draft that. That would save them a bunch of money. So that's kind of the number one place you have to jump off of. So, you take 45, 14 away from 45, you're sitting there at, 11 or $31 million over the cap. So I think the next place we have to talk about is the Puka Nacua extension.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big one, guys. It's gonna be a big one. Well, listen, okay, like before we get into your thoughts on that, so the cap for the league is going to be beyond 300 million, and you mentioned what the Rams have, about 41 to 45 currently before they start playing around with things. Stafford, obviously, with the biggest cap hit. What is he, 48 and a half or 48.2? Highest on the roster, obviously.
Yep, 48 million.
And he's not taking a pay cut. Absolutely not. Coming off an MVP, it doesn't matter how much he likes the sun, the beach, the weather. He's 38 now. He's going to want to feel valued. But you're absolutely right. And that's the stuff that I find the most interesting, is how are they going to restructure, play around, move things? It's not just about betting on the growth, but it's also betting on the future dependability of said vets. Where are they going to go with said vets? Are we seeing free agency in the secondary? Are we going to draft guys? Are we doing both? And the thing that you mentioned that I find to be interesting is, yes, because they have the first two, they have 2 first rounders. For people at home, how expensive is that when it comes to, so it's not as it's a very attractive thing to have, depending on if they end up trading it away, trading back, or giving up something. Because I think, and I looked it up, in terms of free agent signings, the LA has spent the 10th fewest dollars in free agency spending since 2020, which I want to say is tied with Kansas City for 4th fewest. So even though obviously Davante might cost some money and they're going to have to pay Puka, what's Puka's contract to you going to look like?
That's a great question. So the one everybody keeps pointing to is Jamar Chase, who's making $40 million per year. So he's on a deal. $161 million is the total contract. $40 million per year. Over $40 million per year. People are saying record setting. So that means obviously beating Jamar Chase. How much do they want to beat Jamar Chase? Does he want to be a nickel over that? Or does he want to really reset it, getting closer to $45 million per year? Now, the big difference between the Rams and the Bagels, the Rams and the Bengals is, a smart franchise ran by smart people versus a Bengals organization that has just been terrible with contracts. And now the Rams believe in cap over cash, which means a lot of upfront guaranteed money with void years on the back end. You go look at Stafford's current contract. He's got like 8 seasons of void years or something like that. But just looking at the Jamar Chase contract, he's started off 2025 with a $19 million guaranteed salary and a cap number of $23 million. Now, that some of that has to do with the fact that the organization isn't cap over cash. They are spending towards their cap more than giving guarantees and more than doing signing bonuses and things like that don't hit against the cap. So I wouldn't foresee Puka Nacua's cap hit being that high. So I went, but I still think it's going to be pretty high. So I put him at a total cap hit of $16 million. And so that's about $11 million added to the current cap, or taken away from hitting against the cap, I guess is what I should say. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not just Puka as a young guy. The Rams are going to maybe try to keep together alongside. You got to think about Kobe and Byron, Avila, Jordan Whittington. But Whittington is not up for. I think he's got one more year, right? Or yeah, because this is his second year. And Kobe Durant. So, if you just look historically in the NFL, when it comes to the next man up, whether it's a wide receiver or a quarterback, you're going to pay more typically than the guy that just got the contract. Although with Kyron, his contract isn't quite the same as like a Saquon. So I think it really depends on how valuable you are to the organization. And Puka's very valuable to the organization. I think the biggest question is how risky giving someone who has shown moments of emotional maturity or lack thereof. And I always say with the asterisk of he is 24. If someone had a camera around me all the time at 24, I would not be very happy. I wouldn't be happy at 41, to be honest. But it is part of the responsibility of being in the NFL. And I wonder how those conversations go down in the front office when Les Snead is thinking about giving this guy big time franchise money, because he knows he is the future of the franchise, the guy that they're going to draft to take over for Stafford. has to be a guy that's going to fit with Puka Nacua, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And I've added to the list of probable costs a long-term number two receiver. Davante Adams obviously isn't that. That's something that they could address within the draft class, perhaps, but they might also have to look to free agency to find another guy. So that'll be something interesting to watch. You bring up excellent points about other guys that are available for contract extensions from the 2022 class, which was a banger of a draft class. Steve Avila, Kobe Turner, and Byron Young, all up for possible contract extensions. And you also bring up Kyron Williams, and I wanted to touch on that a little bit. Kyron Williams was not and is not considered one of the top backs in the league. And you go back to Cooper Kupp, he at the time when he was due for his extension, 2020, he was not considered to be an elite. He was good, but not in the elite tier. I mean, 2021 was really when he took that huge jump. And so the Rams have never really been in this position of having a guy that is the number one guy out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be interesting to see how they do handle that, because they were able to get away with not paying Cooper Kupp top of the market money, not paying Kyron Williams top of the market money. So that's a new.
Which, by the way, that's a very interesting thing to think about. If you think about, let's take the Cooper Kupp experiment. Cooper signed that in 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
Became Super Bowl MVP in 2021. Yeah.
Yep.
And
also did the Triple Crown that year too. Got the receptions, touchdowns, and receiving yards. So,
and I think 2021, not that you could say Cooper's had a big decline. Obviously, the guy just, has a Lombardi trophy now. He's doing just fine.
Yeah, he's doing
but fine. If you look at his durability and his availability, he did have a drop off in terms of his injuries. I think 2021 was the last season he was fully, he didn't have he wasn't out games.
Yeah.
So with that, even that respect, the Rams, have to weigh or consider the durability or the availability of these guys, and when does that drop off happen, right? I mean, how many games did Davante miss? 3, because he was out that Lions game, out the Seahawks game. He was not available in the Bears game and the Panthers game.
Wow.
So I think he missed 3 games, right?
Maybe more.
Might have been 4.
Yeah.
It might have been 4.
Yeah. And at the age of 33, not going to get any better. But sorry, you're driving towards a point, I feel like.
That timing people and players within the realm of the value, like you said, they didn't end up having to give Cooper all of this money, who then, had this huge year in 2021. They had already paid him in 2020. So I think it's all timing. It's predicting. It's so hard to do. And I think the biggest question mark is when you have a guy like Puka, you got to pay him. But how does that impact the rest of the money that you give out?
Yeah, the length of the contract is going to be huge. I mean, they're going to, his camp is going to want a long, big contract. The Rams are going to want to shorten that up a little bit. Obviously, he's still young, still plenty of gas in the tank. He's always been kind of a bit of I've always worried about him as an injury risk. He hasn't missed a ton of games.
I know.
And then how his style of play and how he's used in the offense had a lot to do with that. And that might change this season as it changed last season. But I mean, I think, further extensions, talking about Avila, Turner, and Young, I think that, you think about Kyron Williams, he was extended in July or August. I can't remember exactly when that came down.
August, because
yeah. And then Quentin Lake also up for a contract extension wasn't done until November or December, so months and months later. So these three guys, I think Kobe Turner being the highest priority among them, that movement might not happen in the preseason or in the offseason. So I didn't calculate those guys necessarily. I didn't put a number on them, but just because it's up in the air. But I feel like Puka is one. It's going to get done sooner than later.
You think? Well, the other thing that's very interesting when you talk about Kyron, you were there. He never held out, and was asked a ton about, how come he's like, I just always trusted it was going to get done. So, that's the other thing that's very interesting is the relationship that this front office has with their players too, is these players feel really good about putting it in the hands of those that are the decision makers. Obviously they have agents representing them. But that's an interesting thing you bring up, is that we might not see Kobe's deal get done right away before the season begins.
Yeah.
So when would you expect Puka's? Just throwing it out there.
Oh, the timeline. I don't know. I mean, I think the spring. I think they probably want to get it done before the draft, just so they know what they're really working with. Maybe even before free agency, which is coming up very, very quickly. I mean, that's probably their ideal timeline. On his camp, they don't. They're in no rush to sign this. They know he's going to get paid a lot. They're going to kick the can down the road as long as possible. So I think those are two very different timelines. I mean, you bring up Kyron, and Kyron is a different beast than a lot of guys. He is a team guy. I mean, I don't think he took necessarily a pay cut, but I think he probably could have squeezed a few more mil out of him if he was a little bit more cutthroat about it. But Drew Rosenhaus is his agent, so there's that as well. But yeah. Next on my list of expenditures is a Dotson renegotiation. He's entering the last year of his contract. I'm curious if I put that on there, and I might be moving away from it in a way. But he's got some fully guaranteed money. 24 million. So that may or may not happen. I put that on there just because I think he deserves it. And I think, last year of his contract, I'll just throw that on there. They really need the interior to perform well. He might get a pay bump. I'm not fully sold on that one myself, but I put him as a $6 million pay bump for the Rams. So, $6 million off the cap.
The secret is out. With millions of younger-looking customers across the country, Plexiderm is one of the most highly sought-after products on the market. It visibly shrinks under-eye bags and smooths out crow's feet in minutes, and the effects last up to 10 hours. Influencers love it, magazines feature it, and people just can't get enough of it. As a matter of fact, Elle Magazine gave it an Editor's Choice Award as Best Instant Wrinkle Filler for 2025. In as little as 10 minutes, Plexiderm reduces the appearance of fine lines, wrinkles, and those dreaded under-eye bags. So yes, you can look years younger in minutes, and the effects last for hours. No surgery, no gimmicks, just results. The best news, you can try Plexiderm for only $14.95. Plus, get free shipping. Don't wait. Order Plexiderm today. Visit plexiderm.com/special. That's plexiderm.com/special. Paid for by Sheer Science.
Most people don't realize how much of their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach venture on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might just sell credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it together at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/secure. Protect yourself now at aura.com/secure.
If you look at what, it's interesting, right? Because Dotson was out back end of the season. I don't even remember. Was it like it was 2 games or 3 games? Obviously, they missed him for one of the playoff games. But it's funny when you are a player and you have an unfortunate injury. But also the bitter, so it's bittersweet. You're out, you're not able to play, but then you see that the team really freaking needs you. And we saw that with Dotson when K-Dot was not available. The team's, particularly the run game, was impacted, right? Which game was that?
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, and Warren McClendon didn't look as sharp when he wasn't in there in either respect as a pass blocker or a run blocker. So, yeah, I don't think we need to hash that one out more. I think that one I'm on the fence about. But Higbee re-signing for a 1-year, $5 million, just sew it up contract, just because, again, a player that they kind of need. Colby Parkinson has made big strides, but I think Davis Allen and Terrence Ferguson are both limited as protectors, as blockers. Inline guy, hand in the dirt kind of idea. I don't think either one of those guys really match that. And instead of kind of trying to find one of those guys in free agency, drafting a tight end is kind of up and down, because it is, the position is not easy to take up going from the college game into the pro game. They got Tyler Higbee there. I'm saying, let's just take care of that. Sign him for a 1-year decent deal. I said $5 million $. There we go. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, if you want to look at some of the big questions, I guess you could say is, Colby Parkinson, and clearly there. I think if you release him, you would save what, $7 million in cap space.
Colby Parkinson?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Right.
I don't think they can release him. I mean, as much as they're relying on their tight end.
I mean, apparently movie to me, it's like you kind of already have your tight end room, unless they're thinking they're going to start rolling out more 13 personnel, or that's going to be something that is a value. Or why would you draft Terrence Ferguson? So what is Higbee? Is Higbee the sort of guy that's going to continue to mentor, and he's just a great guy in the locker room, aside from obviously what he's able to do on the field, spending your valuable money that could go to shoring up some of the issues on defense? Do they need it, is my question.
Yeah, no, I think that's a valid question. I think the 13 personnel question is going to be big, and I don't think that's what they wanted to do in 2025.
Yeah,
I don't think that's what they want to do in 2026. So that one is optional to me. But I think if they're going to go in that same direction, I think pull the trigger on Higbee.
Yeah.
I don't know. My last expenditures are attacking the defense. So I have signed a high-end cornerback. I think at the very least that's going to cost you $8.5 million against the cap. And I'm saying re-sign Kobe Durant for a modest $3 million cap hit. I think you're good there. And I think they also have to invest through the draft, whether that's first round, second round, probably all of the above. So I think you kind of have to do it all. So that's, 8.5, 12.5 plus whatever is in the draft against the cap.
Well, Darius Williams, you're expecting he might not Which, by the
Oh
way,
yeah.
this is always like, I was listening to one of the popular Rams podcasts, and I can't remember what it was, but they're like, yeah, absolutely no way, not happening. And then it happened exactly like he did not describe it. So I'm like, oh, see, everyone likes to say we know what's going to happen, and we have no idea. But Darius Williams, if you cut him or you restructure, it could free up $7.5 million.
Yep.
And, I guess you kind of have to figure, what do they want to do in that? Harrison Mevis should, in my opinion, I'm going to go ahead and say it, I think he should come back. I think he's earned his way into a contract. He's dependable. I don't see the Rams needing to depend on a kicker all that much. They do a lot of fourth down conversions, and Sean McVay likes to go for it. But when they needed a guy that was clutch, Mevis came in and was clutch. I don't expect for him. What is he getting paid now? Some like 800 something. I mean,
Yeah, nothing. Pocket change, really.
Uh,
Yeah, no.
give the guy a deal. Give the guy a contract.
Mevis is a good question. You got to have a kicker, so it's Mevis or somebody. Harrison Butker is the most expensive kicker in the league right now. His cap number this year is a modest $3.4 million. So if there is a guy in free agency, I have no allegiances to any kicker. If you want to pull the trigger on Harrison Mevis, I'll give the thumbs up to that. If you want to find somebody else, whatever, just get a guy, invest smartly, figure it out. Special teams, figure it out. that's my long and short of that one. Expenditures, or no, savings.
Ethan Evans, how do you feel about punters? Do you feel the same way about punters? Get rid of Ethan.
I think they should keep Ethan Evans. He's been great. I have no problem with Ethan Evans. Great, draft pick. Keep him around. Yeah.
3.7 million.
You got to have a kicker. You got to have a punter. Yep. They cost money. It's like, it's like putting a front door on your house. It's like, it's going to cost.
You got to have a front door.
You got to have a front door. You're not going to be kicking the can down the road. Going, oh, what should we do?
But this is the part that is the hardest. You have a 38-year-old quarterback who, there's not a lot of data for 38-year-old quarterbacks, previously 37 when he earned MVP. When is the drop off? And is that the negotiation tactic that is discussed? And do they have those kinds of conversations? And in the same conversation, do they say, hey, we are going to expect for you to train, coach, mentor the guy that is going to take your place and take less money?
Well, let's talk about Stafford a little bit. I had him on originally. I think I had him on as costing the Rams more. And then I was like, well, he might renegotiate his deal to be a much more team friendly. And I think that the Rams should push for that. But why on earth would the MVP take a pay cut?
That's right. That's exactly right.
And so I'm just as confused about that one as I was before I did this exercise. But so I could see it going either way. I could see him costing a bit more, and maybe within that they figure out how to lower his cap hit. But if he wants more generally, that means the cap hit goes up. They're not going to, I don't think what we'll see is any extension. I don't think he's going to get extra years tacked on. And because of that makes it much harder for Tony Pastors and all those nerds up there in the payroll office figuring out how to make it work. So yeah, I think maybe best case scenario, he takes a very team friendly pay cut to try to get this last ring. Cause let's be honest, that's what he wants. And he's got more money than any other professional football player in the history of the world. So
I kind of have to agree with that. It's hard to not at this point, like what else? You got your investments, you put some money in some stocks, you have a nice house in Calabasas. Although he's got 4 daughters, he's going to have to put through college, and that can be expensive. schooling here in California. No, but seriously, you would think that's the right way of thinking. But also, you saw that Bears game. You go to Soldier Field and you gotta, like, how is his back feeling? When these guys are taking hits the way that they're taking hits, you can't pay them enough money for not what they're going through now, but maybe what they're going to be dealing with in 5 to 10 years.
Sure.
But you're right. How much is that ring worth? And does Stafford taking a more, a friendlier approach to his contract means he has so much more say in the offense or the dynamics of the offense? And then obviously, if you want to go even deeper than that, look at their coaching stuff that we'll probably be talking about. Seems to indicate they're going to want Stafford to be very involved with the Cliff Kingsbury type, air raid throwing offense. So I don't know. It's like, it's fun to speculate, but at the end of the day, do they give out that information if Stafford takes a pay cut? Do we get to find that out, sort of? Obviously, right?
Yeah, we'll find that out for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that one again, I mean, I imagine that one's being hashed out as we're speaking, along with the Puka Nacua contract.
Because he's already signed for 2 more years, Stafford.
Well, at least one more like actual year. I mean, he's got a
Right.
bunch of void years, but those,
Right.
those are false. So in terms of cap savings, I've got a Davante Adams restructure. He's got a huge cap hit. So I think they could save over $11 million. I think Alaric Jackson is probably due for a restructure as well. I see no reason that they would want to extend him, so they could add on a few years there. I see that as a $9 million savings. And then we already talked about Darius Williams, $7.5 million savings against the cap. So with the numbers that I've hashed out so far, that leaves the Rams still $25.3 million over the cap. I caveat that by saying there's all these other things that still might happen, top of which Stafford restructure, that could save them money, that could cost them money. Steve Avila extension, Kobe Turner extension, Byron Young extension would all cost them money against the cap, obviously. I think that Cameron Curl is probably going to move on. Daniel Popper has him on a 4-year, $64 million contract. The Rams are not going to pay that. So how do you replace them? Is that in the draft, or did they find a veteran? I'm going to add on a veteran pass rusher. They need pass rush depth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, the rumors about Max Crosby.
There's that. Khalil Mack is a free agent. He's old, but good production. Joey Bosa, similar idea.
Yeah.
If they want to find kind of like a Von Miller type of deal, obviously that was a trade, so it was slightly different, but like, getting a little bit more depth, adding a veteran in there, I think that's something definitely to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they pull the trigger in the first 2 rounds. Maybe day 3, they pick up a rookie pass rusher. But so I think they're probably going to be trying to identify, like this year's version of a Puna Ford kind of addition to add a veteran to that. So that'll end up costing them money. And then a long-term, number 2 receiver. We just talked about, the draft and Davante. I rattled off a whole bunch there. I apologize, but any kind of thoughts that came up for you across that Davante, Alaric Jackson, any of that stuff?
Well, I mean, look, we've talked about how important culture is to this team. So think about, although I don't think Tutu was a culture mismatch, he was a offensive scheme identity. They kind of discovered more who they were offensively down the line. And they're, again, you had to account that was $10 million that was healthy scratches throughout the season, right? So that was an expensive mistake. Not that he was a mistake, but an opportunity to learn more. That was pricey. And unfortunately, a lot of Rams fans question that decision. When are we going to see Tutu? Why is he not available? And I think a lot of people questioned even the Davante situation, bringing in a Davante who's a little bit older than Cooper,
33.
and way more, more expensive than Cooper. Why would they not? And by the way, I personally think it did pay off. Though Cooper ended up winning the Super Bowl, that addition was valuable, certainly in the red zone. And that's why these kinds of shows, these kinds of conversations are so interesting, because it's nuanced. What is the identity of this offense going to look like? How is it changing from last year to this season? What are the coaches, and now that LaFleur is in Arizona, I feel like that's an interesting storyline. Who's the quarterback going to be there? And who is LaFleur potentially taking from maybe LA to go have him join his roster. So it's fun to, predict and analyze. But at the end of the day, I will always go back to, it feels like it's so much more about culture. And although Alaric Jackson had some moments of, questions in terms of player relations, I think they're more willing to oversee. Oh, see there, I'm frozen. They're more willing to kind of oversee some of the things that Puka, although not the same situation, they're going to invest their chips on a Puka, and he's going to get paid a lot of money. And it's just how much and for how long. And you brought up a really good point. How many years will they end up agreeing to when it comes to keeping Puka on the Rams roster?
It is. It's going to be a fascinating negotiation. I wish I could be a fly on the room to see, what, it's undeniable. I mean, he has been one of the best. I can't say it any other. He's been the best receiver in the league since he's joined the league as a fifth rounder. And just to touch on the free agency, flubs, you bring up, Tutu Atwell, Jonah Jackson, that was a mistake bringing him in. Bobby Wagner, I don't know if you can call that a mistake. Maybe a miscalculation is probably a way to say. Allen Robinson was another one that, goes down in history. So, you bring up the Rams not paying free agents very often, or not chasing after free agents very often. There's some precedent to say that, their track record isn't that great anyway, I guess I could say. So all that to be said.
And also letting, how did you feel about letting Ernest Jones go?
I mean, it set them back at the position group. I don't think that they've fully recovered from that. I don't think they have a stud at that spot. I don't think they have a top of the league guy. I mean, as much as I like Landman, as much as I like Omar Spates, both limited, I think they should go after a guy, Justin Cernat, to add to their roster as a special teams guy and as a a guy that can play a linebacker. He's a good pass rusher. I lost a word there. I can't remember. I don't even know what it is. But we always get a little loopy after 30 minutes. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep. So needless to say, I think just to put a button on this, the Rams are in very good positions to be safe, take risks, but they have good building blocks. They already have a solid foundation, and it'll just be really interesting to see how it pans out. I think a lot of people had questions as to why the Rams would spend their first pick, not first round, but first pick in the draft on a tight end. And especially because we didn't see Terrence Ferguson get much action, it seemed like panned out, but you almost thought that was why they drafted Terrence Ferguson, so they didn't have to pay Tyler Higbee. So anyways, I'm coming in delayed, or you're coming in delayed, and that means maybe it's just time to wrap things up. I think the Rams are in a good position, and I think we still have more to talk about. This is just the beginning, because again, 2 offensive coordinators, unconventional, defiantly original. Stafford's coming off an MVP campaign. It's anyone's guess, and either way, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, 100%. And thank you, Erin Coscarelli, for doing this exercise. I mean, this is a good one. And thank you guys for tuning in and checking it out. Thank you, as always. Couldn't do it without you. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Tell your friends about us. Until next time, guys, the Rams LAFB show. Oh, we got Sosa Comenges episode just up. So go check that out. We're going to talk about coaching staff and all of the good news. So definitely like and subscribe if you want the latest updates. Don't miss it.
Hey, Ramley, thank you so much for hanging out with us and watching the Rams LAFB show. Quickly before you go, got to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper. It's the #1 sports app right now, and you've got to download it because it's got so many great features that I want to tell you about. Aside from season-long fantasy, which is the best in the business, they've also got live score trackers, in-game updates, plus the live chat where you can actually communicate with other users right on the app. But perhaps the best feature, at least that I like, is the daily fantasy feature or the live pick'em. Just pick 2 to 8 players across any sport, baseball, basketball, hockey, obviously football and our Rams. You're going to choose a player, just choose more or less. Matthew Stafford, more or less passing yards. Kyron Williams, more or less rushing yards, more or less touchdowns. 2 to 8, you can win real money. So when you go to make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code RAMSLAFB, and Sleeper's going to give you a match bonus up to $100. So you deposit $100, they're going to give you $100 free. You're now sitting at $200. You put in $10, they're going to match you $10. You're now sitting at $20. But on top of that, right now, Sleeper is offering all new user signups a $20 free entry, no deposit required. Go sign up. You're automatically invested $20 straight from Sleeper. But you can stack that offer with that match bonus offer to add more money. Just make sure you use that promo code RAMSLAFB. Go check out Sleeper. Download it today. Tell them the guys at the Rams LAFB sent you. And as always, Ramley, thank you so much for making us a part of your day.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.